Cam Newton giving us all a look at what he can still do yesterday at Auburn's Pro Day through 30 passes. Now, he was throwing to his younger brother, Kalen Newton, who's a draft prospect out of William & Mary. But this was about Cam trying to get the attention of the NFL. And, this is no different than the OBJ group workout, the Colin Kaepernick group workout. If somebody was interested in Cam Newton, they could bring him in at any time for a workout. If you come show us what you can do, Cam. Come show us what you can do, and we'll evaluate you and decide whether or not to sign you. But this gets back to what we were talking about yesterday. The idea that Cam's got the big personality. He takes over a locker room. You better be ready for that. If you're going to sign Cam Newton to be the number 2 or even the number 3 to your starter. I mean, he's already saying there aren't 32 guys better than me. That means, clearly, whoever the starter would be on the team where he's the backup, in his mind, he's better than that guy.
Yeah, right. That's right. I mean, listen, I love the confidence. I do. And as a player, a quarterback, you have to think that way. Yeah, I don't think he's one of the, top 32 anymore by any stretch of the imagination. No. He's put nothing out there in his last, few opportunities of playing for us to think that anymore. So I am a little bit of like, I have to see it to believe it. I understand, hey, you do this, it kind of gets him on the radar a little bit more. Hopefully some teams will, oh, wow, he did look pretty good. Let's, put his name up on the board here in the scouting department just in case something happens. There is that, certainly. But I also will say, I didn't love that he did that yesterday. I don't love it. I mean, to the point of you just made about him being the backup quarterback, I didn't hear one thing about the Auburn Pro Day except for Cam Newton. They got some good players. Some big-time players. That's where I was just like, why? Why? Cam, you could have your own workout tomorrow. You could have had it today at Auburn, and everybody would have been there, and you'd had a few teams that would have stayed, and you wouldn't have overshadowed some of these guys, their moment to go to the NFL. I didn't love that part of it. I'm not going to sit here and judge too critically, but I think it speaks to, again, what the point you were making. When Cam Newton's there, it becomes a spectacle. And that's what could scare people away from having him as a backup quarterback.
I said something earlier that is technically incorrect. I said if any team signs him to be a backup, he's necessarily going to believe he's better than the starter. That's not the case. There may be some teams where that would be the reality. But what about Cam Newton being the backup on a team where the starter is an unquestioned franchise guy?
Yeah.
And he's there in the event that the starter gets injured. He's there just to just get himself back in the NFL. He wants to be in the NFL. How about the Buffalo Bills?
Sure.
Wouldn't that make sense to have Cam Newton as the backup? You want to match the skill set as best you can of the starter. Hell, the Eagles would have made sense.
That definitely. That's what I would. Yes.
Back up Jalen Hurts.
Right.
The Eagles would have made sense. You go to a place where you're clearly not number one, your skill set matches the guy who is, and then you're the one who comes in if everything goes to hell. What about the Chiefs? Chad Henne retired.
Yeah.
Who's their backup?
No, I hear you.
How about the Chiefs? Be the number 2 to Patrick Mahomes. You can't say you're better than Patrick Mahomes, but you can go be part of that team, and maybe they'll find a way to sprinkle you in a little bit, throw you into the offense, use the Cam Newton skills and abilities to have a little fun like the Chiefs do. Be part of something bigger than you and go get that Super Bowl ring that you almost had back in early 2016.
Yeah.
I kind of like that idea of either being the backup to to being the backup to Josh Allen or the backup to Patrick Mahomes.
Well, I think it's that to me, is logical where your mind's at. That to me is going to be, that would be the kind of spots that would make sense. And you're right. I mean, he's not going to be better than those guys or never be able to show them up. So though, even you get into the Chargers with Justin Herbert, same conversation there a little bit. The Bills one, though, yeah, I mean, there's a similar skill set. And like to what you're seeing with how Mariota was signed by, the Philadelphia Eagles, they went the side of, wait, when we have our backup in, let's be able to run the same offense we always run instead of having to go to the Gardner Minshew offense. And that's where that logic is. But, yeah, I think you said a lot of right things there. Be interesting to see if anybody, pulls the trigger on him and actually, makes this happen. But, hey, he looked good. He looked in shape. From the throws I did see, his arms still look strong. He still can spin it, definitely. But, man, he didn't play football. He hasn't played football in a while, and quarterback is not easy to play and just jump on the bike and keep it going. And then, of course, his age and his skill set's a little different too. So there's some factors working against him in this conversation too.
Josh Allen's backed up by Matt Barkley and Kyle Allen. Kyle Allen's the
Just
guy who
signed him,
joined
right?
this year with Case Keenum, going back to the Texans. And the Chiefs have, a couple of guys that I would even have to do research on how to pronounce their names. That's how low they are on the overall quarterback pecking order. So that's where the Chiefs are. And I think it would make sense if he really wants to do it and the team is interested. That's the right place for a Cam Newton, because the starting job just isn't going to be there. And maybe it wouldn't be there if he comes back and he's a backup for a year or two. But this is what we talk about with the franchise quarterback, the Joe Flacco approach. You take that $4 or $5 million for as long as you can get it, as deep as you can into your 30s.
Sure.
If you can be a backup quarterback in the NFL, what else out there is going to pay you anything close to that kind of money? All right, let's take a break.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.